The college basketball experience summer school coaches tour for the head coach of the SIUE Cougars, Brian Barone edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8 challenge. Sign up today using that promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your own betting model using their AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. Welcome, everybody, to the College Basketball Experience Summer School Coaches Tour edition, another edition of the Summer School Coaches Tour. We got head coach of the SIUE Cougars, Brian Barone, coming on here in a minute. But first, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. Also known as Mac tonight over here at the College Basketball Experience. Like I said, man, another edition of our Summer School Coaches Tour. Coach Barone, the head coach of the SIUE Cougars in the OVC, headed into his 6th year, coming off back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in program history at the Division I level. Enjoyed my sit-down with him discussing how he's built it over the first 5 years there. Obviously, I got some ties to the OVC back in my Austin P days. Love the OVC. It will always be one of my favorite mid-major leagues with the postseason tournament in Edwardsville. And who knows, man, maybe the Cougars can get over the hump this next year. But before we start that interview, I got to talk real quick about college football is right around the corner. So get on over to the Sports Gambling Podcast Network with their conference previews. You can get them wherever your podcast in the SGPN app. All righty. I've teased it out long enough. Further ado, the head coach of the SIUE Cougars, Brian Barone. And we continue our summer coaches tour on the College Basketball Experience with the head coach of the SIUE Cougars, Brian Barone. Coach, how's it going?
Going great. I appreciate you having me. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Summer months, November 4th will be here before we know it, but just fill everybody in what you guys been up to. The season ended late March, early April. Just what you guys been doing there in Edwardsville.
Just trying to get our minds right. It's been a whirlwind. You have your last game of the season, and then really nowadays you're jumping right into recruiting. You got state tournaments, you got national tournaments. Kind of dive right into it. You have conversations with your team. You have conversations with potential people coming in to be part of your team. This has been maybe arguably the most busy off season that I've been part of, and from what I can remember. There's no doubt about that.
Well, it seems like they get busier and busier every offseason, especially with the never-changing landscape of what college basketball is now. But we'll touch on your team, the current landscape of college basketball. But I want to rewind first. I always ask this question to coaches. You played at Texas A&M and Marquette. When did you know you wanted to get into coaching after your playing career?
That's I always just thought I was going to be a coach. My dad was a coach. So, when I grew up, I was born in December, and we moved to Bradley when I was 6 months old. Obviously, I don't remember that, but he was a coach at Bradley for 6-7 years. Then he went to Creighton for 6 years, then to Texas A&M for, I think, 8 years. And, you know, it was always just kind of part of what I thought I was going to do. Not necessarily the X's and O's and kind of all the logistics from what you would think a coach does. It's more the concept of what it was to our family. I just always knew that I wanted to be part of a locker room, and my goal was to, you know, kind of follow in my dad's footsteps, to be around him and what he and my mom had done for all those teams. So I don't know if there was ever a time where I was like, I'm gonna coach. It was just always kind of something that I was doing, and I'm still doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah. For the last 20 years, you've been in this industry. So from your playing career, like you said, you knew somewhat that you wanted to get into coaching. I've always said this, that the best coaches started the JUCO level because they learned how to do a little bit of everything. You started Central Florida Community College, Garden City Community College. What was it like for those first 2-3 years, just getting your foot into this business and learning the ins and outs of the junior college level and then ultimately to the Division I level?
No, it's a great question. Like, you know, as the story goes, like, so I had finished at Marquette. I was a 5th-year guy, redshirted back when, you know, those rules, you sit out, you play 2 years. I was fortunate enough to, you know, get my master's degree and degree in those 5 years. And when I was coming out, my dad was with the Grizzlies at the time. And so I'm going to get into coaching. And he, you know, he was kind of protective of it, thought I could do it, but also going, okay, if you're going to do it, you're not, you've seen the, you know, he was a head coach my whole life for the most part. So I saw the, you know, the Creighton and Bradley. Now Creighton wasn't what it is now, but the Creighton in Texas A&M, I was a coach's son. He was the head coach. I didn't really know much about other levels necessarily. And he specifically said, if you're going to get into coaching, I had an opportunity to be a video coordinator for Bruce Pearl at UW Milwaukee when I was in Marquette. So it was going to be pretty easy for me. I was basically going to just be a 60-year guy. I'm sure I would have hung out with all my Marquette buddies that were on my team from the year before and then kind of cut my teeth under a really good coach. But he really thought I should get into the junior college. So if you're going to coach, you got to see, you know, you got to see what coaching's about. Like, you know, kind of the route that he went. He wasn't necessarily a junior college coach, but he cut his teeth in, you know, high school and camps and all that kind of stuff. So I went into Central Florida Community College and opened my eyes. My first day on the job, I tore my ACL. I was playing with the guys. Like, I had been there for about 10 hours. And a buddy of mine that was on my teammate, one of my teammates from Marquette, we drove down from Milwaukee to Ocala, Florida. The next morning, I'd go for a shot fake, which is really well thought out by my part, and tear my ACL. And they didn't even know I was a coach, or I don't even know if I signed up yet. So I woke up really quickly. And the best part about it was you learn how to like run a program. You learn how much goes into a program as a player. You kind of you wake up every day and you're fortunate to kind of be told what to do. And at the time, sometimes it's frustrating, like, oh, I'm telling me what to do again. But man, if I could wake up every day right now and have someone give me a blueprint of if I follow it, it's going to work and have a pretty good day, I'm signing up for that. So the junior college was huge. I would recommend, I'm proud of it. You know, it's fun, being part of that group of guys that I can say, yeah, I was, I was part of that. I understand the landscape, getting a certain driver's license to drive the bus, understanding how we used to have to pick up every night meals. I would have to go to like 12 different restaurants at night around Ocala every night after practice to kind of supplement our guys' food. So I'd go to McDonald's, get one meal. I'd go to Papa John's. I still can't eat that to this day. That's what I ate. That was part of my salary. So you got the pizza, you got a hearty, and then you would come in there and you'd have 15 different meals, and it was on a rotation. So it was very, very important for my concept of what coaching really is moving forward in my career. And I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah, I have a tremendous level of respect for anybody that's grinded it out at the junior college level. It's a different animal at that level. So, Coach, from there, you've had quite some mentors. You go work for Porter Moser at Illinois State, Coach Wardle at Green Bay, who's now at Bradley, and then ultimately Tom Crean at Marquette, and Indiana. Just talk about those different stops and just what you took from each and every one of those guys along the way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been very fortunate, like when I'm recruiting, I'm like, you put up your family tree and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, this isn't, this doesn't make me awesome or make me look cool just because I know people, but I've been able to reach, I'm able to connect to those people, and I'm very willing to ask them. If I don't know something, just ask. I know some people aren't willing to necessarily do that. But you come up in this business, and fortunately I played for Porter. Porter played for my dad. I played for Porter at Texas A&M when he was on my dad's staff. He gave me an opportunity to be a very young, stupid, green coach at Illinois State. On that staff, I had myself, Steve Forbes, who's at Wake Forest now, Chris Jans, Mississippi State, Danielle Robinson, who's the head coach of Cleveland State. So we had a heck of a staff. Had no idea, but we had a heck of a staff. So I was fortunate to be around those guys on a daily basis. I think that even that staff, we learn from each other. I'm not sure how much Forbes and Jans and D-Rob learned from me, but I know I learned from those guys. Porter's energy, willingness to think outside the box, relentless kind of mindset is something that you take everywhere I've been. He was like that as a player. He was like that behind the scenes with my family. Just kind of a relentless amount of willingness to kind of figure out how to get the job done, and with a certain amount of energy. And then I was with Coach Crean. I played with him for him at Marquette. I was fortunate enough to go back at Marquette as a coach, and then to Indiana. And what you do with he talk about relentless every single day. I mean, he works. He's always thinking about how to get better. And he pushes you on a daily basis as a coach and as a player to kind of figure out how to get the job done. We talk about find a way a lot in our program here. It's kind of my mantra here. And you always want to find a way to get the job done. You don't want to let coach down. He's had, and his loyalty to me is off the charts as well. Him and his family have been unbelievable to me. And then Brian Wardle, we were college teammates, and then we kind of go into Green Bay together. And he is a decisive person. That's something that I've learned from him. He makes a decision and then he goes after it. And I think that's a luxury in this business, in anything you do. There's a lot of ways to do something, right? There's a lot of players out there to sign. There's a lot of ways to guard the ball screen. Pick one and dive into it. And I think, Brian is a good friend, on top of the coaching aspect of it. But I think taking that away from him was something that I learned, no doubt about that. And so from those direct kind of head coaches that I worked under, those are some of the qualities I have. All of them, at the end of the day, the underlying thing that they all have and have one towards one another and me is loyalty. And you can't break that at all.
No, you can't. And from there, Coach, you get your first crack at a head coaching job. You go coach Butler Community College before coming over to SIUE. What did you take away from actually being able to run your program after working for those different coaches? But now I guess what's the saying? You go over 18 inches and you got to call the shots. What was the biggest transition for you running your own show?
I think one of the things I was talking to somebody the other day that had just taken a program over at a junior college. And I said, one of the things that you're all excited, right? You're like, hey, I want to put this on the wall. This is what we're going to say when we have the huddle. This is what we're going to be known for. I'm going to, I have I don't know if it's a smart mind. I have some creativity in my head. So you want to just put your mark on it, not for like ego, not for, hey, look at me necessarily, but you work your whole life to be the person that walks into the locker room to now let me implement what I've learned, what I've tried to do. And I think, a mistake you make as a young coach, and I didn't do it as much here, was you try putting the stuff on the wall. Right? You try to make the t-shirt that has the creative idea that this is what we're going to do. And I think that you're so excited, you try to do a little bit of everything. So what I really learned from that experience is like really hone in on what's the most important thing, your team and your family. You dive into the team, you dive into the family. And if year 2, you put something cool on the wall, let's put something cool on the wall year 2. So like when I got here, that was something that I remember thinking, like, right now, the only thing that's really ultimately matters is are these my kind of guys? How do I make the culture the way I want to make it in kind of the unique circumstance that I was here initially was an interim, and then focus on your family. So when you learn from those experiences, you're not a head coach until you're a head coach. Like drawing up a late game play, you could draw a pretty cool play, but if you don't have a guy that executes it, it doesn't totally matter, because ultimately you got to make sure the team is the right piece. I've drawn up a lot of plays, and at the end of the day, Rayshawn Taylor just knocks down a pretty big shot without all the little lines that I drew up. Yeah. So, I'm not stupid enough to not think about that, but that's one thing that I really learned when you take over a job. Worry about the team, worry about the family, your own family, and then kind of build out.
So you mentioned it too. Coming over here, you're an assistant coach for 2 years, then you're the interim head coach. Talk about that transition, because that doesn't happen often, where you go from assistant to interim. A lot of guys, especially in this business, you're the unknown of, hey, are we going to be back next year? You're worried about coaching your roster at the same time. How did you guys navigate that interim season to ultimately be able to keep the job and still go about your day-to-day business?
I appreciated the job. Like I was like, if this is a 9-month deal, a 2-year deal, I get to be a head coach for that amount of time, especially like, it was kind of blindsided. Didn't know that I was getting that opportunity. You kind of thought it was going to go the other direction, to be quite honest with you. And, so I just really appreciated the job. And focused on, I thought, like I said, like you focus on the team and you focus on your family. So part of that was, I had a lot of people recommending at that time, it was like, go get junior college guys, because they were the guys that could be eligible right away. Now anyone could be eligible right away, but at that time that wasn't the rule. So go get the best junior college guys. Who cares about, or the best guys that can help you win right now. And then figure it out, keep the job type of deal, is kind of what a lot of people were recommending. And, there was just something where I that wasn't going to work for me. I was a family, team kind of, I grew up in it. Like I grew up in that, the teams coming over to the Thanksgiving dinners at the house. Like I grew up in, like, that was what I was. My dad and mom did an unbelievable thing in terms of culture. So, one of the biggest things, I just kind of tried to stay true to what I thought I was going to be good at. I'd never called a timeout or drew up a play necessarily during a game from the head coaching perspective. So let's fall back on what I do know. And I learned a lot from those previous mentors and my experience. And that's kind of what allowed me to kind of be what we were able to be. Year 1, we went in there, established a culture and a style of play and effort, academically, socially. I think really made an impact on, how we wanted to do things. And then I was given the opportunity to let's see it again, and just kind of stay true to what I was. I went and got the twins, Shamar and Lamar Wright, and now 5 years later, they're leaving here. Most games played in school history. One's the leading scorer, Division I school history, and they were with me for 5 years, where a lot of people aren't necessarily doing that these days. So I think that really helped me, whether it was right or wrong. It was at least genuine to what I thought we could be successful as with myself and my staff.
And Coach, I know a lot of people say the coach speak. I like to say, establish the culture, all the right things, but you can tell it with the trajectory of your guys' program, where first couple of years, 8-9 wins, then you jump up to 11, you get in 8th place in the OVC, then you take another step in year 4, 19 wins, 17 wins, back-to-back winning seasons for the first time at SIUE at the Division I level. Just speak about the trajectory of your guys' program over this 5-year span, and also I'll ask a two-part question: the trajectory, but also what college basketball was like when you started versus what it is now, because you're kind of, it's two different industries for what it was when you started as a head coach at SIUE versus right now.
No doubt. No, that's a I'm gonna just really sit there and think like
two different worlds.
45 years of coaching in 5 years.
Yeah.
I think that, all the coach speak, establish culture. Here's how you do. I need a group of guys that we're gonna do right. All right. I'm very proud of our academic. My lowest academic GPA year as a head coach is still the highest in school history. So every semester we've had, really focused on doing right from that regards. Socially, we really wanted to do right from that. Not everyone's perfect, but we really tried to have the right kind of locker room, right kind of guys that fit in. So I think a little bit of the culture was established by the investment of, who we signed. We had wanted to kind of hone in on some local recruiting, and we got a very good player who was right down the street in Collinsville, Rayshawn Taylor. I was able to get the twins. Their dad had played for my dad the year before. The twins had come in as kind of, too skinny. Are they good enough type of kids? But they just had a foundation about themselves that, was just kind of what I was comfortable with. And we just kept on building from that regard as much as we could. Then we had like the COVID, which was our COVID season. And it's funny because people get sick of hearing it sometimes when I say it, but we played 19 games in 42 days. Right after we went, it was ridiculous. And the fact that we did it with like 8 guys at one point, and we had to keep playing. You needed the 8 guys, and you had to keep playing, right? All of a sudden we went, you go down to, at one point we were going to play Jacksonville State twice at their place to cut out the travel. So we played 4 games in a week. We played Jacksonville State, who was pretty good, down there on a Saturday. And I was like, we might just need to play. Can we just cancel our home game and play here again instead of driving 9 hours back home and then driving back to Austin P and Murray State? We were supposed to play Jacksonville State, Murray State, Austin P, Murray State.
Who all were good.
By the way, pretty good basketball programs.
Yeah, exactly.
And that year was nuts. Jacksonville State ended up not playing that Monday. There was a rule all right, we were going to play 8 games in 13 days. And then Murray State moved their game up because there was some rule that, the advantage for them. So we drive back from Jacksonville State. We play Murray State at 3:00 on a Monday. Then I drive back down to Austin P, and then we play Murray State again back to back. So that, when you sat back and looked at it, the following year, I had a group of guys that stuck with it. We had been through that together. We had one of my main guys had an injury going into it. We had probably 6-7 guys the next year that had been through that chaos. And then we plugged in some players. And then that allowed us to really appreciate, because we just went through something that arguably no one else in the country went through, 19 games in 42 days. Now, a lot of people had some situations, things like that. We had 19 games in 42 days. So that really helped establish a bond in a way to do things and an understanding that we were in it together. You had to make some decisions that were tough. You're like, all right, we're practicing at 2. Okay, wait, someone's tested and come back. And now we're going at 4. Okay, now we only are playing 3-on-3. Or we can only shoot at different baskets. But by the way, we got to play Murray State tomorrow. So that helped us establish some things. I would not do that again. I would do some things differently. And now we've evolved into kind of establishing that level of culture and togetherness that I thought brought us really close together to have the first winning season in school history, have the first second winning season in school history, and back-to-back winning seasons. And now you add in all the new rules. You got the NIL. You got immediate transfers. So within all of that, you're trying to figure out, hey, we're just trying to establish a winning program that has never been done here before in D1. Oh, let's throw all these new rules in. So one thing I'm really proud about is I've had back-to-back years of guys that have contributed coming back for their 5th year. The Twins came back for 5 years last year. I got Rayshon Daylor and Desmond Polk coming back for 5 years this year. And that's something that, maybe they like each other enough and don't just hate me enough. Whatever the case is, we're putting around each other, putting them around the right kind of guys to have some success. So it's been nuts. I mean, you're in coaching, and like even 3, 4, 5 years ago, like the conversations don't always hit the hot buttons that should have been, like, what's your academic profile? What degrees do you have? Is location matter? What's your player development? What's your trajectory within the program over multiple years? Sometimes it's like, hey, what are you doing this year? What do you need this year to come in? And what do you want this year? And it's a fine line, because kids want to, you want to develop them. There's no doubt about it, while also giving them the opportunity that they can take advantage of right now based on the rules.
Yeah, it's fascinating for the coaches that we've had on that kind of took over their programs about the same time you did, around that 2020, 2021 year, and just been able to basically navigate like 3 different eras within a 3-4 year span. And there's no perfect answer. So, but Coach, obviously you guys have got things going in the right direction. You guys have been able to do a good job navigating the ever-changing landscape. I appreciate you taking the time, but I want to leave you with one last question for all the SIUE fans that will watch this. You guys coming off back-to-back winning seasons, first time in Division I history in your program. What's the message for your fan base, program, headed into year number 6 of the Brian Barone era at SIUE?
I think one of the biggest things is we have not done it alone. Like I have 4 kids that, are in this, my own children, in this community. And I'm at soccer games, dance classes, baseball, basketball, different functions. And the thing that I've been able to, I'm kind of introverted, which it doesn't always seem like that with like you can give me a bleacher seat in a Cub game and I'm calling it a day. Like I can go by myself and let's call it a day and I'll have a great day. Don't say that in this area with the Cardinal fans. But I think one of the things for our fan base and our community is we have done this together. And I really mean that. Like I walked out, and it was about a year ago, and Ryan Helenthal's on my staff, and he was with me at Garden City back at 20 years ago. He was my first game as a Division I coach. We played Quincy when he was the head coach. And we were sitting there, and I can't remember what game it was, but the place was rolling. And we're kind of looking around. He's like, man, 3 years ago, it wasn't like this at all. You'll go 12-2 this year at home, best in school history, and we had our best attendance. That our fan base, they were a huge part and continue to be a huge part of our success. People want to be part of our community when they get here. It's a pretty cool place, and it's growing. It's a sports crazy town because they love the Blues, love the Cardinals. I don't think they like the Rams anymore because when they bounce, but they're fans. We got a soccer team now. So a long-winded answer to what could have been a short answer is this community has been part of, this is our winning program now. And I really mean that, because I'm in the crowd. I'm in the stands. I look up in the stands before games, and you see people that, our kids read books to at the elementary school the week before. Mm-hmm. And those people are coming back and supporting us. And we've done this together, and we just need to continue to do it as we learn it. It's going to be it'll go up and down just like it always will. But right now, we're not here without the community. And I can say that in my heart of hearts, like we really have done this thing together.
Absolutely awesome. And Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. We appreciate you taking the time to hop on the college basketball experience. We look forward to watching year number 6 and you guys taking a crack at seeing if you can win that OVC title and get to the big dance this year.
Let's do it. That'll be fun, wouldn't it?
It would be
a good time.
Yeah. Coach, appreciate it. And we look forward to having you back. Hopefully when you do that and win the OVC.
Say the word. Say the word. I'll be here. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Bye-bye.
Coach Brian Barone of the SIUE Cougars, great guy. Really enjoyed sitting down with him, just walking through his buildup of this SIUE program. Like we talked about, SIUE kind of new to Division I. They had not had a winning season at the Division I level until the last 2 years, and for him to do it back-to-back years is ultra impressive. And I can speak to, he talked about how his fan base, it's grown over the last couple of years, the enthusiasm at SIUE. When I was at Austin Peay, there was nobody at those games when we play at SIUE. Now you turn the games on, they're fighting for a top 3, top 4 spot in the OVC. They're closing that gap with the Moorhead states of the world, the Little Rock. So looking forward to seeing what he can do in year number 6. And just he went from 8 wins to 9 wins to 11, then back-to-back winning seasons of 19 and 17. So sustained success, as we like to talk about here over at the College Basketball Experience. And he's been able to do that in a short time in the OVC. Real quick, let's talk and get us paid real quick before we get out of here, because this episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live, so get on over there. Make your top 8 picks. We just gave out an entry over at the Big 12 Experience with Troy. Go check out that. His Twitter handle, 37-1 for the All-Star game tonight. Spicy payout. Sign up today using that promo code right above me, TCESGPN, to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circus Survivor. Circus Sports is better than ever, and they're giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Pick 5 NFL ATS games each week or compete in their Survivor Gauntlet to claim a $10 million prize. Sign up in person in Circa before now in September 7th. And we even have a deal with this football contestproxy.com to save $50 off with your promo code SGP. And if you don't have your trip already booked there, well, Ryan and Sean will be out there August 22nd through the 24th. So make sure you go visit the greatest sports book out there. Circa Sports, Circa Millions, baby. All righty, we are back on the College Basketball Experience. Another edition of the Summer Coaches Tour in the book. Got 2 more coming at you later this week, and I want to thank everybody out there for tuning in as well. Like I say every time at the end of one of these episodes, we can't do this and pull off this series that we're doing with these head coaches across the country without you, the listener. So make sure you please subscribe, like, tell a friend, tell a cousin, tell your cousin's cousin. It really helps grow the channel and pull off things like we've done so far in this offseason version, whether it's conference realignment talk. We're going to be talking TBT at the end of the week, the Olympics the following week. But most importantly, we continue these Summer School Coaches Tour episodes. And we thank Coach Barone of the SIUE Cougars, and we like I said, you can feel the energy in this program right now. It's headed in the right direction. Year number 6, is this a year that they get over the top and win that OVC? It would be a great thing to get them to the dance for the first time, and for him and his staff. So we'll be pulling for him. Look forward to having them back on in the future. And special thanks to Coach Barone. Make sure you go check out all our other channels, the College Football Experience, all 134 team previews with Colby and those guys. Big 12 Experience, we just started our first of 16 college football previews with those teams. Go check out the College Baseball Experience with Noah Beanick. And, of course, college basketball coming at you all year long, 365 days, all year. It's a year-round sport now, baby. So that's all I got. This has been another edition of Mac Tonight, signing off over at the College Basketball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.